Checking where you're all at, how it's going, what are you doing, checking that you feel confident with filling the form in, and that you know that that is what we're asking you to do. I sent a little message last week to everybody saying, I was having quite a few things from people saying, so we're writing an essay, yes, aren't we? And I was saying, no, you're filling the form out. And that you're not filling out a form, that you're filling out the form in an academic way. I was just keen, I just wanted that to be clear with some people, because some people are saying that they thought they were writing an essay. So I was just making that clear that you're not writing an essay for this assignment. Yeah, is that clear with everybody?
And it's a blog as well, isn't it?
Yeah. If all the submission information of what you have to submit, where and when, it's on Moodle. Okay, double check
the
it.
blog post, is that just Constellation in general or specifically about the dissertation?
Yep.
Okay.
Remember, we want a sort of reflection.
Right.
Rather than when I went to my study group, I learned this. We kind of assume that when you went to your study groups that you would have learned some stuff. What we want to find out is, was it, anything helpful, anything make you interested in things, anything inspire you, how are you getting on, what are your strengths and weaknesses from your formative essay last term. All that stuff will be really good on your blog, and it will get you to think about your strengths and weaknesses for this term. What you're doing really well, and how do you make that better? Which areas were just really not so good, and what have you done to address those? Are always quite useful things to have in your blog.
Okay.
Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah? Right, so at this point in the term, obviously it's the end of term next week, at this point of the term, what I needed you to have done, and if you haven't done it, then let's get it sorted from today, is to make an appointment with the academic librarian, go and see them and get some help with your searches, and that you've started filling out the form in a meaningful way. All right, that you're not scared of the form, that you're not all, I don't know what the form's telling me, because I wanted to check with everybody, how are you getting on with it? Are there things you want to ask? What areas are you struggling with? Let's get those ironed out now. Do you want to start telling me how you're getting on, Suzanne?
Good, yeah. I've written about 800 words in the overview so far, but I've kind of just, not in any coherent
You
manner,
put in
just
some stuff down.
Getting stuff on the page.
Great.
The lit review is the minimum 2,000 words, isn't it? But I'm not really sure what we're putting in the lit,
Remember, I put some information up on Moodle. I
Right.
put a bit of my own lit review on there
Okay.
for you to read. And what I want you to do is follow the way I've done it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
a template. But I've also put up an academic paper on something you might be interested in, actually, the Very Gay Straight paper. And I want you to all read the introduction and the bits that come after the introduction, because although it doesn't say lit review in the paper, that's what it is. Okay?
Yeah.
He's putting, I can't remember the author, but he's putting information together that's his background reading,
Okay.
that's informing his work. Okay? And that's what I've done in my bit of one of my papers, is put down a bit of my lit review on geeks. The content is of no interest, probably, but I want you to see the way I've done it. So what you're not doing is this book says this and that book says that. What we do when we write a lit review is read enough around the subject, and you gather the information together. And these authors argue this point, these authors suggest that. So it's not that this one book says this one book says that. There's a way of putting it together, and I'm asking you to try and follow it as a template.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah? So you understand that the lit review is what's everybody writing about?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So what I'm asking you, the way I'm asking you to put together what your reading has been is kind of in that way, if you can.
Right, okay, yeah.
Rather than this book says this book says that.
Yeah, okay.
If you go back and have a look at it, if you're still not sure, let me know.
Yeah.
All right. So you're having a go, you're starting writing, you're thinking about the lit review a bit. Anything else?
Not really. I had an appointment with Martha yesterday.
Great. How did that go?
Good, yeah. It was. She just helped me find loads of sources and went through like meta search and had 3 advanced searches and
Great.
stuff. So, yeah.
Lovely. Feel quite confident with your searching?
Yeah, she emailed me loads of titles and stuff of like text to read, so.
Because one of the things I need you all to remember is while there's me, there's also the library, which is just a resource waiting for you to tap into it. It really is. And we've got Martha now, who's just amazing. I'm getting a lot of positive feedback from students on how she helps you. Yeah, on the way in which she helps you. You know, she's bombarding people with information. I'm loving it. But also she's doing things like somebody said last week about eShelf. There's a way in which you search for all the papers that you want and you put them on the eShelf that you can access them later. So it's all nice and methodical stuff. Yeah? Great, so you've done that.
Yeah.
Have you got images? Are you thinking about images at all?
I mean, I haven't. Yeah, I don't really think about images when I'm
All right.
writing stuff. But
It
maybe.
may be a way for you to give examples
Okay.
about what you mean.
Yeah. Okay.
It may not be pertinent to you though,
No.
but it may be a useful way of thinking.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'll look into
So
it.
you're okay,
Yeah, I think I'm alright. Yeah.
Tom?
I think I'm probably a little bit further behind than
Okay.
guys here, but I've kind of established what I want to be writing about.
All right, great.
The stage I'm at is kind of trying to find out what's relevant to read.
Right,
Which I'm
okay.
struggling with a little bit. I took a few books out of the library, but I was trying to.
Have you had help from the academic librarian?
No, I mean I had a session, I don't know when was it, a couple of months back, where they sort of went through basics of how to
They
find stuff.
if you make an appointment with them, they will sit with you and talk through your ideas and then help you with your searching more. So if you're in that position where you're not sure, I would absolutely make an appointment with them, and you can't see them straight away. I think people email them. Do you email them?
Yeah.
And then they give you time and you go along and you explain exactly what you're looking for. So if you do that, that will probably be a bit more fruitful for you.
Okay.
Have you had a look at the form?
To fill in, yeah.
And you understand that that's what we're asking you to do. I'm just checking with everybody because last week a couple of people were like, so we're writing an essay, aren't we, Ashley? And I was like, no,
Yeah,
not
before
really.
I saw the email, I did.
Yeah, great. No, that's fine. That's fine. So the form is there. The headings in bold are the bits we want you to fill in. The questions are the guidance to get you going. Yeah? You don't have to keep them in your writing. But that's okay with you?
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
about the form, you know about the academic librarian now. You need to get some support.
Yeah.
Yeah? Other than perhaps talking to me. Yeah?
I started filling out the form.
Is it meaningful for you to do that?
Yeah, it's
I won't
really
read
good.
it,
Yeah,
but-
it's helping me kind of work it all out in my head by writing it.
Great. And it's easier when you've got it on paper, you can work through it,
Yeah.
can't you?
And I started collecting articles, like recent articles. Just,
Great. Contemporary
you know,
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've got an appointment with the librarian at 12:30 today.
Great.
So I'm feeling pretty good about it.
You're okay.
I've done some blog posts. Yeah.
Great. Fine. James, where are you at?
I've done a little bit of the lit review, but I haven't actually done the form, and I think maybe I
Alright.
should start working on the form now to get my ideas.
Does it make sense to
together.
you what we're asking you to do with the lit review?
Yeah. So it's just kind of like writing about like research, and then is it like grouping together the information?
Yeah.
So if like 5 people have all written kind of one thing, you then reference as 5 people.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, and the more you can do that, the more papers you read, the more academic papers you read, the more you will get the handle of what writing an introduction looks like and what a lit review is supposed to be. Academic papers are fantastic for that. Much better than books for that reason, although sometimes books will be, particularly book chapters, might be, if they're doing particular kinds of research, they will talk about what they read to get there, and sometimes they talk about the third. What they never say is this is the lit review. They always have different titles. Yeah, but that's what you're fundamentally reading when you're reading a paper.
So
Yeah.
I've read a lot of online journals.
Great, because there's a lot of stuff in your area that you're going to use, but a lot of stuff you're going to discard, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah, like I think that's my only problem now. Is like there's so much information. It's trying to know
Got to
like,
narrow it down.
how to start bringing it
Yeah.
all together and narrowing it down.
Yeah.
Because it's like sometimes I find that I am sliding off.
That's
the
all
topic
right.
a little
That's
bit.
all right. That's all right. Don't worry about that because it's all. Don't forget, and I said that to the group earlier. Don't forget. What we're asking you to do this year is to write your dissertation proposal. We're not asking you to write your dissertation yet. Okay, that will be next year. What you're doing now is preparing the backbone for your dissertation. So your dissertation is well informed, it's critical, it's based on an extensive literary view. Yeah, it is quite likely that your dissertation is going to be slightly different. Okay, that's not to say that you're starting out writing about heteronormativity now, and you could be writing about product design next year. I don't mean it in that way. But what is likely to happen and what should happen is that it will emerge in a slightly different manner, which it should do. Okay, so don't worry about it having lots of stuff. Put it together and see how it looks. Think as well about what your question, it doesn't have to be a question, but your statement or your position might be. Whenever we're writing something, this is true for us as well, what you're thinking is, what point am I making that's slightly different to everybody else here? And that's what we're looking for with you. We don't want you to just agree with everybody. Oh yeah, so-and-so, very convincing, that's great. I'm very convinced by their argument. Fine, but what point are you making about being convinced by an argument? And that's the difficult bit, because what we're asking you to do is to sort of move away from all this, great, I feel confident that I understand my reading, and to shift a little bit away from it and say the reading's great and I'm really informed by it, but this is my argument or my idea or my position here. And that's the bit that lots of students worry about and fear a bit. Yeah?
Definitely.
Feel the fear and do it anyway. You'll get no sympathy from me, you know that. Because I want you to, I don't want you to just replicate what everybody says. So-and-so says this, so-and-so says that. That's great, but then we want you to move beyond that. So what? What can you do with it? Yeah? What can you do with what people are writing? What point can you make? All right? It doesn't have to be a, world-changing idea. Don't worry about that. It's not, you're not reinventing the wheel, and you're not saving babies. It could just be a little bit of an angle on something. That's what we're looking for. But that's very meaningful at your level, at undergraduate level. It's very meaningful to have a critical position, all right? And it's hard for you because there's lots of stuff written about it. So it's hard to have a critical position, but that's what we really are truly looking for, all right? But often the reason people don't end up with a critical position is they don't feel confident enough to say it. Does that make sense? Does that sound like a thing? All right. Yeah? So you're all in a slightly different position. I see people relaxed. I see people a bit more right. Do you have any particular concerns that are really quite pressing? You feel all right, James? You know what you're doing?
Yeah, just keep on reading and keep on writing, and then hopefully, because I find like that's what always happens with me with the essays. Like the more I kind of write, the more I read, and then my question kind of develops.
That's what it should do. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like, I always
great.
find the question's one of the last things I actually write normally.
There are two ways of doing this, really. You might be the kind of person who has the question first, and then you explore the literature. Or you explore the literature first, then the question comes. There's no hard and fast rule about doing it either way, okay? But that's usually the way in which ideas generate, that you already have your idea, and then you review the literature. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm writing at the moment, and that's what I'm looking to see what else is written about it. That's fine. In the past, you're just reading the literature and you're thinking, right, what am I going to say in all this? What do I need to say here that's different to what other people are saying? Yeah? Are we okay? Are we confident about our writing? Do we feel a bit better about our writing the more that we do it? You do?
A little bit, yeah. I think I'm getting there.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I know once
Tom?
I start, it will
Once you start, it'll be better. If you fear it and don't do it, then it's not going to be good. You know, and I can just say that off, my experiences. Students fear it. It becomes a big thing in their minds sometimes, rather than a thing that you absolutely can do and you can do well. Yeah, that's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
You okay?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
my method is kind of I just spew stuff out onto a page and then
Fine.
cohere it later.
And then go back and edit it.
Yeah.
We want third person writing. We want, the only time we want to know what you think is when we're asking you why you're interested in the subject and is it related to your practice. I've had a couple of students feel a bit worried that it's not, that what they're writing about doesn't relate to their practice. That's not a problem. In other universities, they make you write a dissertation related to your practice. We don't do that here. Okay? Each type has its pros and cons.
So it doesn't matter if it's not related
No.
to like art and design in any way?
No, but what I would say to you is I've got a level 6 student who has been writing, she's in Maker. I'm sure she won't mind me telling you. I won't tell you who she is, but her work was a particular way, and then she wrote a dissertation on the horse, completely representation of the horse in art, completely not at all anything to do with what she was doing. But for her final major project now, she's going back to the horse. So dissertation has inspired her. That I find that very unusual, actually. I haven't seen that very often before. What I usually find is people sometimes are very much inspired by their practice and they want to write about a practice-related thing. You know, maybe something that's occurred in graphics. I've got a lot of the graphic students are doing graphic-related things.
Yeah, the sort of main focus of my writing is going to be on the project I'm in the middle of at the
Yeah.
moment, so
Yes, I find that to be quite common, but also students write about other stuff. Don't forget, though, that you've been doing things involving theory and ways of doing things for a couple of years now. It's usually wise to pick up on some of those things because you've had a grounding in them. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Sort of, something in one of your sub-study groups somewhere along the line that you've already researched a little bit or that you already know a bit about. Somewhere that always comes out in the dissertation, I notice. Yeah? It is drop-ins next week. I won't be reading anything. Don't make an appointment. I will sit here with a cup of tea if you want to rock up and ask me a question. Okay? I'd love to see you all and shoot the breeze, but we're not doing that next week. Don't come and check things. Am I doing this right? I've had this with a lot of students. Am I doing this right? Do I need to put this in? I don't know what you decide the content of your dissertation proposal, not me. Okay? If you talk to me about it and I think there's or I've recommended some very obvious reading and you haven't done, then I will say that. Yeah, but I'm not, it's your dissertation proposal. What you decide to put in it is up to you, not me. Right? Because I don't know. I don't know what you want to write about, so you need to do that. I've had that a little bit from students. If you want to come and see me next week, come with a sense of purpose. But what I'm not doing is checking over what you're doing. I'm assuming you're doing that. All right? And also, again, I don't know. If you decide to put something in, that's your decision, not mine. Yeah, does that make sense? And I don't want to be harsh, but I want us to use the time. All the time. I want you to be productive and use my time productively. All the submission information is on Moodle. Don't forget your blogs. All this nice reflective stuff. How did you get on last term? What was your feedback? How are you getting on? All that stuff is good on your blog. It's 1,000 words. It's not little posts pulled together. It's 1,000-word overview. All right. Don't forget the submission date. Don't be late. If you're late, it's capped at 40. You fail, it's capped at 40. Okay. Don't be late. We had a lot of. I can't tell you this year. We had quite a lot of dissertation students submitted late. They failed now. Oh my God. None of them were mine. Thank God. But you failed, and you capped at 40. Nothing you can do. Be in charge of what you're doing. I feel confident you will do that. And that's fine. I feel confident you can follow instructions on Moodle as well. Yeah? Let me know if you're struggling, if you're not sure what you're doing. I think you all are a bit. If you're not sure what you're doing, make sure you've made an appointment with the academic. Just chatting to Jenna earlier. She thinks she's going back to see the academic librarian because she's a bit stuck. Don't forget to use them as a resource as well as me. All right.
Okay.
Any specific questions? You guys seem quite confident. I like that.
Only one question. Last time I
James.
had a chat with you, you said to look into advertising, and I've had a look and I've read like Chris Hackley's work and some Connell does some advertising. Any reading that you can suggest or any writers
For
really good?
advertising.
Advertising.
From what perspective?
So probably like media and it's a semiotics. So
The
like
Danesi
representing-
book is very good for semiotics, high heels and cigarettes. Also David Cho, Danesi, high heels and cigarettes. I've got it on my shelf, I should give it back to the library actually. I've got one of them. DANESI. Lovely book, really nice. Also David Crow. But his is more images rather than telling you what semiotics is. Advertising.
Like the images might be nice because it's a body shop right now. I've done a massive like advertising campaign.
All right.
Where it's playing around with like it looks like homosexual relationships.
Okay.
Which you rarely ever see, so that might be good to have a look into.
Do you know there's one of those, is it the Lloyds Bank or one of those building societies? You know in town. Is it mortgages?
Mortgages with
where it's
couple,
two
new
guys,
couples, yeah.
couples. I noticed that recently, and when I go past by the castle, there's the crossing. You know, it goes sort of up off to City Hall. There's a crossing into town, Castleside, High Street. If you go there, whatever it is there, is it Lloyds Bank or something, they've got the image outside, and I often cross there, and I'm captured by the image as I go past. It's quite interesting, and it's also televised image.
I think Nike did one as well where they used two women in like posters and stuff, and they were like in
Like a couple.
yeah, like a couple.
What I'm noticing, it's often men. It's often male couples rather than female couples. Interestingly, I'm not sure the female couple thing. I'm not sure.
It definitely has started to change.
Yeah,
It's not-
but it's interesting if you have a look and see whether is it mainly male or female, because that's quite interesting. My gut feeling is it's likely to be more men than women for a number of complex reasons, but you know that might be it. Yeah, Danesi, lovely book. That really nice.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
I don't know anything off the top of my head about advertising, and then you know
If you
there
have
are
any
books
questions,
on
I can just
advertising. Let me know.
anyway.
If you've got questions, let me know. If you need help with your reading and your
Yeah.
searching, academic librarian Martha Lee
Martha
is the
Lee.
person you need to see.
Do you want her email address?
I've got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just need to email.
ASAP, Tom.
Yeah. Okay.